Okay. Will we work this time? All right. Well, sorry about that. We lost connection. We've got some new technology going on. Got a new microphone. Next few videos, we're going to have a new camera and things filming all this as well. With that being said, I'm going to be moving things and sort of converting my office to be borderline studio-esque. If anybody watching this would like to help with that sort of thing, please let me know. But anyways, so back to this is, Rethinking the Homeless Part 2. And really the whole idea is, I don't like the term homeless. I think the term itself is intellectually dishonest or intellectually deficient. I don't think it's a good term because it's sort of a medium. It's not an actual idea in itself. It's a medium to discuss an idea. Language is a medium. But it's a medium that really discusses two completely different ideas, and it's an umbrella term for the people who are circumstantially unfortunate and those who are voluntary vagrants. And if you'd like a further in-depth of what we discussed earlier, please see the Rethinking the quotations Homeless Part 1. So the second part of this is, I want to do compassionate ministry. And now that you've articulated that there are people who are circumstantially unfortunate and that there are people who are voluntary vagrants, well, how do we help people? Well, the first thing we've got to do is we have to have a good understanding of our calling. So we understand a lot of people really get that Christ is love. People at a very basic level, they look at the New Testament and say, well, there's this theme of love. But if you actually do a, serious look at the New Testament, you'll also see that Christ in the Gospel of John, he's definitionally laid out to be the Logos. In other words, he is the capital W word, the Logos, the mechanism which can turn chaos into order, the mechanism of transformation. But specifically, Christ, every time he meets people, he always is transforming people. So when we do compassionate ministry, if we're just enabling people, then my question is, are you actually being Christ-like? Christ did not come up and just say, well, I'm going to hug and I'm going to include you, enable you to be wherever you're at. No, Christ said, I'm going to come, I'm going to meet you where you are, and I'm going to take you to a better place. I'm going to take whatever, seemingly immovable qualifier you have attached to your life, and I'm going to remove that, and we're going to get to a better place. We're going to be better people. So the second question I had, which it's sort of interesting where the break happened, because I was going from the first question, which said, I'm hateful, or people say I'm hateful, but I'm really not. I just have concerns. Well, it's good to talk about those concerns. And when people want to be intellectually dishonest and say, well, you hate the people who are circumstantially unfortunate when you're talking about the vagrants, well, call them on that. Say, you're using the term homeless to manipulate people, using it inappropriately. Call them on it. Get to the source of the ideas. We need to be people of good ideas. So the next idea that I want us to talk about is, who am I? Where am I? How do I fit transformation into myself if I want to do compassionate services in the world around me? Well, the thing is, we don't want to just be enablers. We want to be people who can genuinely take love to the world in a meaningful way. And I like to say love is the ability to bless in complex situations. Sometimes there's a little bit of pain involved in love. Sometimes there's agony in the growing pains that come with transformation as we become something new. And now a lot of people are comfortable where they're at and they don't want that and they're resistant to it. And the thing is, we don't have infinite resources. If anybody out there has infinite resources, please come and see me. I have some things I'd like you to employ, to be employed for, because I don't have infinite time or infinite intellect. I don't have infinite, knowledge of the world around me. I don't think any of us actually do. But we are called to be Christ-like, which means we're called to love people, to bless people in complex situations, but we're also called to be the Logos. And that's a big calling. That's a very serious calling that says we're called to be people of transformation. So when you ask, who am I? How do I apply transformation? Well, this has to be at the core of what we do. We have to have good ideas. So back to earlier with the idea of compassionate services, my experience, and anyone who's been a minister or done anything, you probably have good experience with this, is that it works a lot better in the micro sense than the macro sense. In other words, on the very small local level where you've got a few people involved and where the people that are coming for help, you can tell very quickly if they're the circumstantially unfortunate or they're voluntary vagrants. Usually when we know people personally, we know the difference. So I think compassionate services work really well on a micro scale. And this is something that we all have responsibility to take care of the unfortunates around us. That doesn't mean we're called to enable the voluntary vagrants, by the way. I hate to put the Logos in and your love for some of the people who are out there who say, well, we should just be enabled and be happy that we're enabling people. I hate to bring the fact that Christ's character was not ever about enabling people. It was about transforming people so that they could have a better quality of life. For the people out there who choose to be manipulative and intellectually dishonest, Christ was the Logos. And a big part of love is also being the Logos. They overlap and play into one another. So as we are called to be the church, as we are to be, decent human beings, we can help the circumstantially unfortunate a lot better when we realize who they are and how they're different from the people who are the voluntary vagrants. We can do a whole lot more to help them when we see the difference between these groups of people. So I'm going to wrap things up, but I do want you to keep all of this in your mind. I hope I can convince you to just rethink how you view people. And we view people who society often labels as homeless, and maybe you even use that term, but I hope I can convince you to move away from that, because there's two different groups of people. Very different groups of people. Very different ends of the spectrum, and people may not lie completely on one end of the spectrum. I realize people are dynamic. But I think this is why it's so important for us to deal with people on this sort of micro scale, the local scale, and as individuals, not as groups. And one other thought I do want to say before closing. It really bothers me when people use the church as sort of a crutch to manipulate people. They say, oh, they point to Christ. And again, they don't get the full picture of Christ. They just say, oh, look, Christ loved people. They leave out the whole part that he was changing people's lives, that he was making them better. They leave out the whole part that there was an actual call to be willing to transform your life. Again, it's not always just about people who had, some deep metaphysical problems. Sometimes it was people with just social issues and people with health issues, people that could actually make choices that would make their life better. And Christ said, I want you to choose to do something better. And people were receptive of that. Well, transformation came for them. It really bothers me when people try to use the church as a crutch for manipulation. They point at the love side of things, but they completely try to hide and cover up. They call people hateful. They call all sorts of things which aren't substantiated or rooted in fact about people because they don't want the Logos in it. So I hate to ruin the image of love that some people have by bringing in the Logos, but the two really shouldn't be separated. They're both very magnificent parts of Christ's behavior and Christ's nature. So with that being said, I hope that this was informative. Please send me your questions or comments you may have. Like I said, I'm here. You don't have to just see me through the computer. I'm very easy to find. I'm all over the place, from pretty much the Springfield area towards Nashville to, of course, Jolton, which is sort of the main purview that I have, but I've been all the way down towards Dixon and Clarksville. If you have any questions you'd like to have or to sit and talk with someone, or you would like to help or me to help in articulating certain ideas and questions pertaining to the idea of how do we develop compassionate services in the world around us, please contact me. And please also like and share the videos we have. Do look forward to watching some more of them. We are going to have a better setup here in the future. Haven't totally got the new microphones straightened out, but we're getting there. All right, well, thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a good day.